would you want to enter into a conversation who is pro-regime, and have a conversation with someone that is actually pro-regime? Also, how do you feel a toppling? What do you think a toppling of a regime looks like? I don't think they're going to give up power essentially and say, "Well, the people aren't happy with us." Do you think it would happen in a form of a political, or what's the word? You know, when they have a big vote on
Settlement?
something,
Oh,
yeah,
referendum.
referendum. That's the word.
Yeah,
In
they want
ways
to
of
do
a
a
referendum.
referendum. Yeah, that's what they're gonna. What people say. Okay, first of all, I don't know if any of this is gonna happen. Okay, so what the anti-regime people say that the first order of business after the regime falls. Okay, again, I'm not saying whether this is possible or not, but the claim is that they want to have a referendum on the type of government, right? That what? So the thing I think they're going to have a list of, do you want a secular republic, Islamic republic, a constitutional monarchy? Like, you're going to choose one of these, right? And then we move forward from there. At first, we have to choose the type of government. And even the monarchists will say, the constitutional monarchists in Iran will say, they're claiming that they think their side would win, but they are willing to give up their demand for the constitutional monarchy if the referendum shows that most people in Iran want a secular republic, right? But they say they're quite confident that they will win. Um, so they want the constitutional. They want the people who are on the side of a secular republic to also confirm now that we would want a referendum, okay, and we will respect the results of that referendum. And if the constitutional monarchist side wins, we will submit to the constitutional monarchy, right? The problem for some of us secular republics are that we think some things shouldn't be up for a vote, right? Like, we can't like have slavery up for a vote, right? Like, so having an undemocratic institute should not be up for a vote. Like, these are just anti human rights and stuff, right? However, even though that is my view that that shouldn't be up for a vote, you should just not have that. If that's what is required for us to submit to get us united against the Islamic Republic of Iran, against my will, I will submit to that. Oxymoron, you want to say something? It's about this topic.
Okay, so I wanted to ask if we observe the histories of a lot of Western nations that have been successful in transitioning from monarchies to religious theocracies to uh, modern secular nations. So it has
Republic.
been very gradual. Even the French Revolution, after French Revolution, there was Napoleon and the stuff that happened. So the
Yes.
transition was very step by step. So don't you think the infusing these ideas directly could probably mean end of Iran? There would be a lot of factions and it could
There's
lead to instability. Even United States, like
no. It
50,
would
60
cause
years
this.
ago, it wasn't
It
as
would.
liberal as it is today.
Okay, so the thing is that Iran has such a major identity that it's hard for it to like instability. I could see that. I could even see instability for like a decade or so, right? But end of Iran, I don't see that. There's such a major clinging on this identity of being Iranian that it's hard to get rid of that. Like, it will eventually will come back together. Like, think about it. The Iran identity, okay, had survived the Alexander's invasion, right? The Arab invasion, so the Mongol invasion. So many countries invaded Iran and tried to swallow it whole and make it part of this whole new empire. And then at the end of it, you still had Iran back again, right? So think about, like, this is what again a lot of nationalists say. So I don't want to be uber nationalist here, but I'm just saying, because I'm not even saying this is as a good thing. There's just so much pride and nationalism and, you know, tribal identity. These are not things that I celebrate, but I have to accept that it's there, right? So, like, among all the countries that in the Middle East that the Muslims invaded, Only 2 of them. I don't know. Actually, I don't know. Turkey is not even in the Middle East, but only Iran did not become Arabized. Like they kept their language because they have such pride. I mean, Turkey. Let's give Turkey as well, right? But like Lebanon, Egypt, Syria, Iraq, they all lost their languages and became
I
Arab.
think there's argument that can be made that it could become like Afghanistan eventually, slowly by slowly. It could turn into
Yeah,
Afghanistan.
no, I agree that it could be. We could have. We will have instability. We
Yeah,
will have
so
civil war.
you are making
We will have civil war. Okay, but I'm just saying that Iranian people from all sides, even the pro-regime and anti-regime side, they are not willing to give up on the idea of Iran and the concept of Iran. So one way or
so
another, they will keep this thing Iran. We wouldn't have like this thing will not fall apart. I mean, even if it does fall apart, it will come back together at some point.
yeah, so I'm trying to make that point that Iran could fall in sense that there will be a lot of factions in between Iran for very long
Yeah,
period of time, which could
yeah.
hamper growth. So it could become like Afghanistan. I'm not claiming about the identity, but you are trying to make the argument of the civilizational state kind of thing. So Afghans, basically, even the Taliban and the non-Taliban factions, they are very clear with their identity, and they sort of
Yeah,
retain their
but
culture.
no. But they have different identities. Okay, so in Iran, we have many different identities, right? But there's one identity that they all agree on, which is the Iranian identity. We have few
Same
people.
can be said about Afghanistan as well.
No. For example, in Afghanistan, we have like ISIS doesn't believe in the concept of being Afghan, right?
No,
Like we
the
have that.
ISIS-K actually, it's making argument for the civilizational state, the
Okay, let me tell you
Khosrani,
this.
which is
Yeah,
non-Islamic empire.
they want an Islamic empire. But let me actually say the main difference is that Iran is too geopolitically and globally economically is more significant than Afghanistan could ever be, right? Both
Yeah,
because of its oil resources, because of its access to the Persian Gulf, because of its access to the Caspian Sea, right? Because of its bordering countries like Turkey and Iraq, and so it's just like geopolitically, it's strategically, and the number of people it has, right? And the talents that it has, right? So
yeah,
education-wise, Iran has moved past Afghanistan by a great margin, right? So when it comes to the people power, okay, when it comes to natural resources power, when it comes to geopolitical power, Iran is at a different level. And there's certain soft powers that you can't just take away, like the experience that it has, the infrastructure that it has, the institution that it has. Even if we topple the regime, these institutions will stay in place, right? So that is something that people are not those resources. It is within the interest of too many people for it all to disappear, like both internally and externally, and both internationally and nationally. There's too much at stake for all of that to disappear.
yeah. So what if a lot of international powers come into play from different sides and factions, if that happens?
Well, I mean, that could be a bad and a good or a good thing, right? So you could have international influence coming in and trying to maintain some peace, and I would welcome that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
after
if there would be a lot of friction if it's coming from
yes,
the liberal
yes,
order,
it's
but
going to
it's
be
fine. But
there's going to be painful. It's going to be painful. I agree with you that it's going to be painful. Okay, I agree with you that it could be unstable for a while. Okay, I'm just saying that I don't think the instability and the chaos will break it to that point that you're saying. Get my best-selling book, Why There Is No God, for free. Click on the link for it in the description.